So today we're going to learn about deepfakes. What is a deepfake and how do you make one? Well, let's get started. What exactly is a deepfake? All right, deepfake is an AI generated version of a person. So if I've got a video of, let's say, Robert Downey Jr. and I don't know, maybe I want his face to be on somebody else's face in another video. So let's say we want Robert Downey Jr. on Elon Musk's body, this body. These are two of the video sets that come with DeepfaceLab. DeepfaceLab is the software that we're going to use in order to actually make the models and render them out as deepfakes. And it does a really good job. I'm no expert at it. I'm not amazing at it. I actually haven't even used this current version other than just basically running through the tutorials on it. I've used the previous version, but they've added a lot of stuff. So let's go ahead and get started here. How does this thing actually work? We're going to take the source video and we're going to pull the frames out of it, ideally thousands of frames, and preferably from all different angles. I want to see side shots, front, other side, you know, maybe a little bit of the top of the head, maybe towards the chin, and all of those pictures are going to get analyzed and put into something called a model. A model is something that we can use to train the AI algorithm in order to let the computer generate its own version of that face and emulate what the face in the destination video is going to be. So for this example, we're going to be using Robert Downey Jr. making a speech of some sort. We're going to use his face as the source, and then we're going to use the video of Elon Musk as the destination. So you're going to have Robert Downey Jr. on Elon Musk's body making the speech. And if we get it all right, it should be pretty hard to tell. I mean, obviously, if you know that this is going to be a deepfake, you're going to know what to look for. And like I said, I'm not exactly an expert at it. I figured, you know, I got interested, so maybe somebody else did too. So to get started, we're going to bring up DeepfaceLab. We're just going to search that on Google. And we're going to go ahead and grab the GitHub. So iPerov DeepfaceLab. Let's go ahead and get into GitHub on that one. And this is the latest version. Okay. I should also mention that you can only use this version 2 with NVIDIA GPUs. I'm using an RTX 2080 Ti for this. So got 11 gigs of VRAM. You can use a smaller card, cheaper card, but you're not going to be able to do as many sets at a time. So ideally you want to spend ridiculous amounts of money to basically make a meme. That's fine. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go down here and grab, where is it? Here it is. We're going to go ahead and go to Mega, grab the Windows download. Now I've already downloaded this, so I'm just showing you where to get it. So we're going to grab the face sets and the latest build. So the latest build, get out of here. Latest build, download that one, and then download the face sets. But like I said, I've already got all of that. Once you download it, this is what you're going to get. It's going to show up as, you know, a bunch of batch files, basically. Well, this is where we're primarily going to be having our data. When we first start out, this is the video that I showed you in the beginning.
Life cannot just be about solving one miserable problem after another.
Okay. That's going to be our destination, and then our source. So, all right. What do we do first? After you make sure that if you're using different videos, just make sure that they're labeled data_dst.mp4 and under src mp4 as well. So what we need to do is we need to extract the frames from the source video. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and extract the images from the video data source bat file. Default is 0 FPS, default is PNG. Let's go ahead and hit enter on that one. This is going to take a little while. Oh, that one was actually pretty quick. Hit enter to continue. Alright, we're going to extract images from video data DSC full FPS. Default is PNG. Alright, next we're gonna extract the aligned faces. So that's gonna be data src face set extract. Where's the source? Here it is. There we go. Now, usually you want to do whole face, but in my previous example, I already did that, so we're going to try something new. We're going to try using the head, and then 0 for my 2080, default. Now this can take quite a while, just extracting the faces using, if you use whole face, it's gonna go a lot faster because you're basically only taking this section of the face. In our example, we're using the head because I haven't tried that before, so figured let's give it a go. And that is gonna do the whole head, and that's a way that you can actually transfer hair and facial features and stuff like that rather than just the eyes, nose, and mouth. So we're going to give that a go. Alright, it found 655 images with 654 faces. Hit any key to continue. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and enhance the face set. You don't have to do this, but you can. Let that do its thing. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and merge that data. Over to aligned. That's done. Alright, now we need to check the alignment and the basically check the alignment folder and see what everything looks like. It's going to be for data source aligned. And you're basically looking for anything that's out of the ordinary. Anything that's blocking the face, blurry images, anything like that, because if you train an image with basically bad photos, looks like I don't see anything in here that looks wrong. If you train an image with anything that looks bad, it's just going to make that even worse. So everything looks fairly decent in here. Alright, so let's go ahead and hit data destination face set extract. And do it as head. Basically what it's going to do is all those pictures that we recognized as pictures of faces, it's extracting faces to use. Alright, so it found 1619 images and 1619 faces. Done. Now we need to go into the destination face set under workspace. view aligned. And just go in there and make sure there's nothing going on with any of those images. If there is, we need to delete them and then basically redo another process. Everything looks all right in here. Let's go ahead and get out of that. Now we're going to go ahead and create a training model. We're going to use a SAE HD. Let's go ahead and create one for the head. No save models found. We're just going to save it as YouTube test. Alright. No, we're not going to auto back up. No, a lot of these are just default target iteration. If you've already trained a model before, you can basically tell it what generation of the model to train starting from. So if you got like 1,000 iterations in and it's screwed up after that, you can start a little bit before that and then try and retrain again, so you don't have to do the entire process over again. Resolution for doing the head, we're going to do 224 and change that to head. We're going to start out using random warp of samples, but after a little bit of training, we're going to turn that off. Let's go ahead and get that started. Okay, so here's a preview of the training. See, it's in iteration 19, 23. So we're just going to train it for just a minute. So you can see what it's doing right here. Let's get about 100 iterations of it or so before we go back, and then we're going to train it with XEG using masks. So we're going to be able to mask out the whole head. All right, let's go ahead and exit that. Okay, data destination mask for XEG trainer. Let's go ahead and run this. All right, so for this, basically what's going on is we need to make a mask for the head. So we need to do different angles. So like, let's start here. Let's go ahead and just masking out as best I can. So here we got a different angle. Go ahead and mask that out. All right, I feel like that's enough of that one. So I'll go ahead and X out of here. Actually, on some of these, I kind of want to bring them down a little bit. All right, I'm good with that. Now we're going to go ahead and do the same for the source. So we're going to go ahead and edit the data source mask. Now we're basically just going to do the same thing. Alright, that should work for now. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and train the mask. And use the default GPU. Whole face is default. We're training head. So as you can see, it looks a little rough, but once we start going through and figuring everything out, it's going to look a lot better. So we're going to let that run for a little while. Alright, so we're at a little over 10,000 iterations. You see the mask is starting to form up, looking pretty decent. I'm going to go ahead and save this and exit. Alright, let's go ahead and apply the mask. So we're applying this one to the destination, and then we'll do the same thing for the source, and then we're going to go through and basically check them through the editing process again, just to make sure we don't need to shore anything up. Alright, destination's done. Let's go and do the same thing for the source. Alright, source is done. Now we're going to go over to check out the destination mask, edit. What we're going to do is we're going to check out the trained mask. We're just going to kind of go through here and see if anything sticks out or if it looks like it keeps the shape. So this is the model that was trained. Everything's looking good so far. I do want to go ahead and I don't feel like in a lot of these I got the bottom of the face very well. I kind of just went around the chin. So we're going to go through and edit some of these. Okay. That was the destination, so we're going to need to retrain the destination. Let's go ahead and check the source. Yeah, see on this one I went down far enough on that. So let's see what the source looks like. Alright, so what do we got right here? Let's go ahead and train this one up. so we remasked that. That's going to get rid of that. All right, so we got some stuff creeping in here. So let's go ahead and mask all this. Should be all right. Let's go ahead and retrain both of those. So let's go ahead and train the masks again. We're not going to be overriding any model settings. Okay. So basically what this is going to do is going to retrain based on some of the changes and stuff that we made to the masks. So after this is done, we'll get on to the rest of it. All right, so we're at almost 15,000 iterations. I'm all right with that. This model's looking nice and sharp. So let's go ahead and save that. I'm going to go ahead and reapply them. So basically, if you feel like you need to make adjustments, you can always go back and make adjustments to your models, and then you just need to make sure you retrain it afterwards. You don't need to train too long. There's a sweet spot, and it's kind of hard to judge without just being there. So each model may be a little bit different. Some you may have to train longer than others, depending on how you cut everything out and masked it off and how well you did that. And just certain things like the video itself and the pictures that you have. A lot of the quality of your deepfake has to do with that. So this is kind of it's an experiment thing. The more you experiment, the better you get at it, and you just work your way through. I think this one's going to be pretty decent. I'm not entirely sure, but we'll find out. And if it's not, you can always go back and, you know, edit some things, maybe remask it or whatever, train it a little bit longer. There's 1,000,001 different settings. I'm not even familiar with all of them, but there's a ton of documentation online for it. All right, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to train this in SAE HD. We had started it a little while ago, so we're going to do this model. Let's see. We're going to start at 0. Size, masked training, yes. All right, so random warp right now, we're going to run that for a little while, till probably about 5,000 or 6,000 some odd, and then we're going to disable that. We are going to enable gradient clipping. So here we are. Now, these right here are basically the DeepFakes themselves, the computer-generated ones. This is what it's taking as the source and the destination, and this is what it's trying to figure out how to make it look. You'll see the further we get in the iterations, the lower these numbers get and the farther down on this chart it gets, it has a lot to do with the accuracy. It's kind of hard to explain, but the way the deepfakes work in the AI models is they have one that says, here's this image, I think it's correct, and it sends it over to another algorithm that says yes or no, it's not correct, or it is correct. And if it's not, then it tosses it back and says, hey, try again. That's the long and the short of it. There is a lot to it. I don't even pretend to know all of it. So we're gonna let this run for a good long time. And then, like I said, come back in, make a few settings, train it a little bit longer, and then we'll get into the actual mating the mask onto the face. So we're back. So this thing's been running through its algorithms and whatnot for about 24 hours. And we're sitting at just over 130,000 iterations. It takes a lot for this thing to basically match up everything. Just the whole deepfake process is a lot of guessing on the computer's part. So it does take a lot of time sometimes. I mean, even with a 2080 Ti, which is, I mean, it's a good card to use. So if you were to use a lower end card, you might be sitting here for 2 to 3 days. So like I said, I got about 136,000 iterations of it right now. So the faces look good overall. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna stop the training, we're gonna save it, and then I'm gonna go in under the settings and disable the face warping, which is just a part of the training process. It's really useful for early on. And we're also gonna start training the background. Now what we wanna do is we want the background from the source image to disappear, and we want it to go over to the destination background. It helps a lot with like the area behind the hair and stuff like that. So we're gonna go ahead and do that and train it some more. All right, so you can see here we're at 137,000 iterations. These faces aren't looking too bad. This is all computer generated. These are the originals, this one and this one. This is the deepfake version of this face, deepfake version of this face, and then this is the deepfake version of this face making this expression. So as you can tell, it looks like it's matched up pretty decently, but we want to take care of the backgrounds. So let's go ahead, save out of this. It's done. So we're going to go ahead and get back into the trainer, load up the latest. There's a graphics card. Go ahead and override some of these model settings. Let's go ahead and take this down to a 4 batch size. I ran into some issues with memory overload. right, so here we are. So it doesn't look like it's doing a whole lot, but this should start help to match up the background a little bit better, like I said, around the hairline. So we're going to let this run for a little while, and then once it hits about 200,000 iterations or so, we're going to come back in, we're going to save it, and then we're going to do some editing on the model itself before we actually transfer it over. And we're finally back. We're now on day 3 of training these models. It is taking absolutely forever, but I'm actually really satisfied with what we have right now. We're at over 300,000 iterations. Right now we're currently trying to blend in the background, and we're just trying to fine tune it a little bit more. But I'm going to stop it right here, and we're going to go ahead and merge it. And in the merging process, what we're doing is we're allowing it to take the AI generated model of what we've been working on this whole time, and we're actually applying it to the new video. So in that process, we're also going to be editing a lot of like the fitment of the model to the actual video, so we can, you know, kind of blend any of the edges in. We can adjust some of the color, because you gotta keep in mind we're just doing the head, so we want it to match any skin. We want it, you know, if the model's a little bit too big or too small, we can adjust the size of it. That's why stuff like having a really clear video and really sharp video and photos that you pull from it, the frames that you pull from it, need to be nice and crisp, because the better the quality of the source video, the better the quality of your model is going to be. So also it depends on what size you train it at. The smaller models, you can go all the way down to like, I think 96. If you try to blow that up and fit it over like a higher quality, like if you try to put like a 96 model on a 4K video or something like that, it's not going to be real pretty. But you can do it on something like a standard definition video or something like that. We're using I think we're using 256 size, so that'll go fine. This is like a 1080p video. It's nothing super high def, but the model we changed should work. So, like I said, we're at 302,000 iterations. I'm going to go ahead and stop it and get the merge process started. I'm going to come over here, go ahead and hit enter to save. Any key to continue. Now we're going to merge. So we just did train SAE HD. Now we're going to go ahead and merge SAE HD. So we're going to go ahead and go with the latest, our graphics card. And we are going to use the interactive merger. And with the interactive merger, that brings us to this. This is the merger screen. We can change stuff like eroding the mask, blurring, add some motion blur, change resolution, scale. Here's how you process all the frames. You can change your mask mode. There's a lot of different styles that you can use, and I'm not even going to pretend like I know every single one of them. This is actually a pretty in-depth program. So we can go ahead and hit tab to see what it looks like. We can go through each frame, run it like this. So this is a frame by frame of what we have so far. It doesn't look too bad, but it could go with some editing. I'm seeing some blurring on the edges and whatnot. Just go ahead and go back to the first frame. All right. So let's go ahead and see, what do we want to try to do first? Let's go ahead and try to do the color transfer mode. Pressing C. As you can see, you can change over here. Where is it? Color. Color transfer mode. As we press C, it changes the different styles of how it can try and match up the face. So we want to, this is a little bit too tan right here, so got some lighter skin right here. We'll see which one looks best. See, that looks super yellow. That doesn't look bad. You hit tab to go back into this other screen. Let's go ahead and go with face scale, U and J. See, this is what I was talking about earlier. You can change the size of the mask. Make them have a really big head. Bring that back down. That looks about right. I can blur the mask. That's going to blur the edges. So I can jack that way up. It's going to start blurring in around this area right here. I don't really want to do that too much. Bring it back. That's going to affect how sharp the outer edges of the mask are. Now if we erode the mask, it's going to basically do about the same size as the scale, but it's just going to like cut into the mask. It's not going to scale it up and down. It's just going to cut up how much of the mask is visible. Now, image degrade, we can adjust the color of the image itself, the background. And that's actually adjusting, should be back here. So you can try and bring, the name of the game is to match this to this, but you're able to adjust both of them independently. You can use denoise. And this is actually just a whole lot of just playing with it. So like this is the difference between what we've made in the two frames. I upscaled his face a little bit. Or I'm sorry, I downscaled his face a little bit. Denoised it a little bit, changed a little bit of the color. See, this is with the face scale at normal, and this is what I had it at. So we're just going to go here and just kind of adjust a few things. So like this right here just changes it so it's just his face. It does not include the whole head. Go with that one right there. We're going to go ahead and merge it all the way through and see what we got. There is a ton of playing around with this that you can do. This is not going to be perfect. I'm not going to spend another day messing with all the settings and trying to fine tune it. If you feel like you don't have enough detail in it and you're not happy with it, you can always go back and train more. You can overtrain it. I mean, there's definitely a diminishing return if you go so far. I don't think we're quite there yet. This thing could definitely go for another 24 hours and I'd be all right with it, and would probably get a lot more detail and a lot smoother and a lot more of a seamless integration. But I think everybody's ready to just go ahead and see what we got. So some of the image quality right here is a little bit degraded. We could probably fix that by training it a little bit more. Yeah, I'm not horribly happy with how it looks whenever you see the side angles, but like I said, I kind of cut the training a little bit short just to go ahead and finish up this video. But let's see what we got. So let's go ahead and exit out of this. Save, and we're going to merge it to MP4. Go ahead and do it at 16 for the bit rate. Go ahead and let it render out. And let's see what we got. Go into the workspace, and now we should have result MP4.
Solving one miserable problem after another. That can't be the only thing. There need to be things that inspire you, that make you glad to wake up in the morning and be part of humanity. That's why we did this. This guy called Tsiolkovsky, one of the early Russian rocket scientists, the great saying, "Earth is the cradle of humanity, but you cannot stay in the cradle forever." It is time to go forth, become a star-faring civilization, be out there among the stars, expand the scope and scale of human consciousness. I find that incredibly exciting. That makes me glad to be alive. I hope you feel the same way.
Well, I'm actually kind of satisfied with that. We could, as far as a test model, it could definitely use to be trained quite a bit more, and we could probably go ahead and adjust some of the masking. Like I said, you can go back in, you can still edit all of these things. Your model is saved here. So while you're actively working on everything, just because you rendered it out once doesn't mean that you can't go back and change some more of the files. That's totally fine, and you can definitely get a better result. So this was just for a test tutorial type deal. There's plenty of things you can do this with. If you just search YouTube, I'm sure you can find 1,000,001 examples, but this is the software that everybody's using. So I hope you guys learned something. I know I definitely did. So that's what we got. That's how you make a deepfake. Like I said, we could do more training. We could do this all day long. We could add another week onto this thing. I could go get some better masking, change the color up a little bit more, try to get a little bit more detail, because basically whenever he's moving his head to the side, you see a little bit of blurring, but you can fix that. It just takes a lot of time. Have fun, use your imagination. For some reason, I keep seeing everybody putting Nicolas Cage in like every single movie. That's kind of funny. Yeah, it's limitless. You can do whatever you want with it. So I hope you guys learned something. You can check out my website, www.seanguthrie.net. I post a lot of different tutorials and stuff like that, just some different tech things. It's not entirely limited to tech, but you know, it's just my own little space where projects that I do, I post up information on it and just kind of want to share the information with everybody. So thanks for checking out my video. Give it a like, give it a subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.